Is the Philippines a third world country? What do I think? What do Filipinos think? And is it a good idea to hire people there? So a year ago, I posted a video about why I hire people in the Philippines, and we talked about it being a third world country. I got hundreds and hundreds of comments requesting that I change that and that I call it a developing country or developing nation. And that definitely describes what I saw when I went there last November. And so they are definitely a developing country. I mean, they have the technology, they have the skyscrapers, they have the internet. My team does amazing work. They're highly educated, so they are a developing country. When I think of a third world country, I think about people that live remotely, that live in huts, that live in the jungle, that don't have running water, that don't have electricity. And you know, there are so many islands on the Philippines that I'm sure there are millions of people that are still third world in the Philippines. There's just thousands and thousands of islands. But the area that I went, you know, within several hours radius in both ways of Manila, you know, there were freeways, there were gas stations, there's fast food places, there's skyscrapers, there's internet, there's free Wi-Fi, there's convenience and grocery stores, and I don't consider that third world, but definitely a developing country. One of the reasons why, even though you have all of these amenities or all these resources, is they still have their struggles. They have internet shutoffs, they have power outages. When they have hurricanes, it's really devastating to that country. I guess a hurricane is devastating to any country. Let me put it this way. I mean, minimum wage is really, really low in the Philippines. In fact, let me bring up my computer here. Okay, so I had this on my screen earlier. Let me just show you where the Philippines is. All right, we come across the Pacific Ocean. There we are, Philippines. Tons of islands. Apparently there's like 10,000 islands in total. Manila is the most populated. There's other big cities like Davao down here, but I got off track. We're coming here looking for minimum wage. One thing that I found that was really helpful was this map. You see that according to this color code, you know, the darkest regions is up here, the $10 to $16 an hour, down to the blues that are the $5 to $10 per range, all the way down here to like this light purpley color, and then we get gray for no data or no minimum wage. So we see that Canada and Australia in parts of Europe and England have the highest minimum wage. The United States is a little bit lower than that. You see, you know, some countries down here in South America and in the Middle East. Oh, I noticed Japan over here. But then, you know, the color starts to get lighter and lighter and lighter. And notice that kind of the lightest purple, you see lots of this through Africa. You see some things here through India, Mongolia. But you see the Philippines right there, the Philippines. And if we go down and we check, that looks like, you know, the minimum wage of $0 to $1 per hour. So it depends on what part of the Philippines you're in. I'm sure if we zoomed into a whole map of the Philippines, you'd see that, you know, in the heart of Manila or the heart of another big city in the Philippines, incomes or minimum wages are higher than that, but in other places it's lower. Besides the low minimum wage, it's actually really hard to find a job in the Philippines that pays really good. Now, a good job, what people are willing to do for $400 a month, they're willing to leave their home and family for 6 months at a time, to go on a cruise ship or to go to another island and work a job and send that money back home. They're willing to really make a huge sacrifice for $400 a month. So that's a great opportunity. If I were to step in and offer them more, say I paid them $500 a month and they could work from their home and they only had to work 40 hours a week, and they could have a flexible schedule so they could dedicate time to family and to their hobbies and whatnot. That is a dream opportunity for them. I mean, that website that I've mentioned in other videos, virtualassistanttool.com, there are 200,000 people from the Philippines that have filled out a profile there and let you know all of their skills, saying, hey, I would love to work for an American boss. I'm willing to work for $350 a month. Please hire me. I'm willing to work for $500 a month. Please hire me. I noticed I got off track again from the topic. Is the Philippines a third world country? Well, I have another perspective. When I was there last November, there was this amazing mall. In fact, we went to the top floor of this mall. There's a great restaurant there, and that's where I met my team for the first time. A very elegant, fancy dinner. But right outside the mall, I needed to catch an Uber and go back to my Airbnb. And on the other side of this wall was this big, massive area of slum. It was like crumbled buildings. There was extension cords going, and you could see a fan inside of this half-survived building and a curtain blowing. People were living in this slum. And I just thought it was the most interesting contrast. When I think of a third world country, I mentioned that I thought about people living in huts, but I still thought of them like being happy and thriving and having food to eat. And I don't know, the contrast was actually really surprising to me, that right across this wall from this fancy, ornate, amazing, beautiful, like you go in the mall and there's Rolex and all these high brands, more elegant than the malls in Utah, actually. And then right across the wall was this slum, you know, lots of dirty looking pets, you know, no sidewalks, no grass, no healthy trees, just all this rubble and lots of families with pinned up blankets living there. And I don't know why I'm telling you this. Just kind of letting you know that there are some third world parts, even in the developed part of the Philippines. And I'm sad about that. I'm hoping that the work that I'm sending to the Philippines, the money that I'm providing there, even though it's a great blessing to me, even though it's a lower amount than I would need to have to hire people like that here, my hope is that I'm helping to elevate the economy there. You know, in my small way of hiring 14 people and giving 14 people jobs. Well, with that, if you're an American or somebody looking to hire people in the Philippines, then I definitely want you to check out the website that I use. It's virtualassistanttool.com. You can dig through those 200,000 profiles and find the person that matches the criteria you're looking for and just reach out to them directly.